Well, if you didn't know, it wasn't possible. And here's here's the philosophical point. The philosophical point is that you can't say that any time is wasted because you don't know what better was. You don't know. We always make the best choice we can make at the time. It's too easy and thoughtless to say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, that would have been better. We don't know. I have the experience that that there are many different types and kinds of astrological readings. Some of them more accurate, some of them less accurate, and um, I I also think that people can find whatever it is that they want to find. So similar to the biblical writings or say Nostradamus's prophecies, where people say, "Oh, Nostradamus predicted this, Nostradamus predicted that," and yes, you can read it in that way. You can interpret it like that, just as many phrases in in the Bible can be interpreted in different ways. For example, turn the other cheek. What does it mean? Does it mean to not look at something, or does it mean to allow the person to do it again, or does it mean to check to discover if something is real or an accident? Does it mean to listen to something? So it can have so many different interpretations, um, and I find I find it very confusing because I don't think it's an exact science. Well, let's say astrology, the study of the stars, that's an exact science because the stars just have one position. But the interpretation of the information is is not a very exact science because people tend to interpret it in different ways. What bothers me about that is the fact that people could be could be influenced through the power of suggestion to believe that certain things were destined to be. And that uh, people who have been involved in neurolinguistics and hypnotism uh, can achieve the same results through linguistic manipulation um, as people can through reading and interpreting ideas. And I think that those people who those people who experience change identify better with texts that express change. I think our experience dictates our ability to understand. Um, I'm not sure how accurate a lot of predictions can be. In any situation, there are a series of possible results. You can, everything is binary, right? You turn left or you turn right. And then after you turn left or right, you can turn left or right again. And so I think from any situation, let's take let's take a very simple example: change or no change. If things don't change, then they will stay the same for a while, and then you'll be faced with the change and don't change again. If they change, then they'll change for a period of time, and then you'll be left with the binary choice again, whether or not to change again or to stay the same. I'm not sure that astrology gives us a great insight beyond understanding basic philosophy. Mm. Well, language is extremely powerful in the effect that it has over people. Um, it was it was debated um, way back in ancient Athens and ancient Greece whether or not people should be allowed to read. not because people didn't want people to read, but people knew how easy it is to influence the reader by writing certain texts. We see this with political manifestos. We see this with religions and religious text. Thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that, whatever. And it's if you have a true believer or a devout follower, they can do crazy things. There are many wars throughout history because of this, and it is very true that why is so much text written? Text is written because it influences people. Almost all text is written in some level of text is either written A, to influence people, or B, as a form of catharsis for the person writing. So for example, if I am a writer, there are two reasons for writing. Number one is to change you, the reader, or number two is to express something about my own world, about myself, about my own life. Now, very often it's both those things together. Very often I want to influence you by telling you about me. So that is one of the principles of writing. Or creating a fantasy story which contains semi-real characters to disguise the truth, but still influence people in a certain way. The same way that, say, Arthur C. Clarke or H.G. Wells' writing was used to promote the idea of a one-world system in the past. So it is highly probable that that by reading certain texts, we are influenced to think certain thoughts. And hypnotism has proven this. If you read a text, now there have been scientific studies about this as well. You can find them online. Here's an example. If you read a text about, say, a holiday in, I don't know, Barbados, with the beaches and the warm water and the palm trees, and if you read a text about that, and then you hold, say, a glass of water, and you're asked to rate how warm the water is in the glass, you will actually rate the water as warmer after you read the text about the warm topic. That's a fact. We don't realize that we are influenced by everything. I take the example you gave at the beginning of our conversation today about the weather. I'm feeling a bit like this because the weather is a bit like that. So it's either you influence the weather or the weather influences you, right? There's sort of maybe maybe some people will find some balance. I don't think there is, but so the power of language to influence things. And the example I gave about the drink is also true. People have done this with coffee, where they get people to play word games with hot words and cold words, and then rate how warm the coffee is. Now the coffee is always the same temperature, but they start to rate the coffee hotter and colder depending upon the words that they used just before they had the contact with the coffee. It's a real experiment that I know about. It's a fact. So we are constantly influenced by what we read, and there is a danger with things like astrology that we will create the future based upon what it is that we have read about, either consciously or subconsciously, or at least recognize or search for some kind of pattern in it. And I think the truth is that very often what we are searching for is also searching for us. What we are searching for is also searching for us. It doesn't mean that you want it, or doesn't even mean that you want it consciously. Perhaps we need it. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. Do we need toothache? But we do, to tell us that something is wrong. To tell us that something's wrong, to get us to go to the dentist, to get them to check what the problem is to see if they can help us and to
Okay.
stop the problem getting worse. We think that the basic idea is that, oh no, the pain is bad. No, the pain is good. The pain is good because it gets you to do something to help yourself. It's necessary. What I'm saying is that we are influenced in ways that we don't realize, and a lot of the painful experiences are absolutely necessary because we haven't learned what we need to learn. Now,
Mm-hmm.
not all painful experiences are good. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying there's a lesson we have to learn. Um,